All right, it's 3:05. Why don't we go ahead and get started? Can everyone hear me okay?
Yes.
All right, thank you. All right, we will call the meeting to order. And as part of virtual meetings, I think we need to have roll call done verbally, correct? So we'll start with Shar Douglas. Are you there? I can see you.
Present.
Alex Fike.
Present.
Tom McGannon also present, and we're awaiting Pete. And Julie, you are here. Is there anyone else from that's joined us or that indicated they want to be part of this meeting from online?
There were no public comments online.
Okay, great.
And Carol said there were no calls. But now we're streaming, so people may be watching. They're not invited to be in the Zoom. So this is a recording, or being recorded.
Gotcha. Thank you.
Sharp.
Yeah, will Mark Liss be joining us?
And that was my next thing. He just sent an email. He's got a medical issue to deal with, and so he will not be joining us.
Okay, thanks.
But I also received an email from our new city manager, Paul Brake, and he is interested in connecting with all of you, and he is going to try to be on the call at some point today. And if not, then we've got the July 8th, second Wednesday of July held. It's penciled in for a meeting, and perhaps he could be at that one with us.
Okay, great. All right, we'll continue to move through our agenda. Since there is not a public comment, we'll look at the minutes from our meeting of May 13 and review, and I'll ask for either corrections, additions, or approval of those minutes. Seeing none, we'll keep moving. All in favor of approving our minutes to file, please. Actually, we have to do by roll call. Shar?
You need a motion and a second.
I motion.
I second.
Great, motion second. All in favor say aye, and this is where we do the roll call. Sorry about that. Okay, Shar, are you in favor, or?
Yes.
And Alex, how about you?
I am as well.
And I also approve. So the three of us, it carries.
Thank you.
All right, next up, we'll review the document on our financials. Julie had noted that the contribution from the construction company was not yet incorporated in that because it was still sitting in the 700 account, correct?
That is correct.
Okay. So this is quick review, and no motions required here. We'll move down next into review and adoption of the agenda. Any additions to our current agenda or topics that have come up that need to be added?
Yes, I'd like to request that we make some time for the insurance quotes that I sent through yesterday.
Okay, so we would consider that new business, and we'd add that as item number 15 and move. I'm sorry. Yeah, we put that as 15, and then we'll put our agenda as our final topic today.
Yep.
Okay.
I so move.
Is there a second? All right, those we'll go forward for a vote. Shar?
Aye.
Alex?
Aye.
And I'll say aye as well. All right, moving right along. Director's report, Julie.
Okay. Let's see. So there was a number of operational items worked on. The biggest one I would say is for the discussion of the kickoff with additional staff and Shar Douglas. There were also connections made again with the insurance company that resulted in the quotes that we'll talk about. We have the final version of our logo, as you can see on the screen from OCC. We're still waiting on the letterhead to be designed. There was a situation with the proper software not being available for them. So Peter Shady is looking for that right now. I was able to get my email associated with the PayPal account. And so when donations are made, I am getting a notification of that, and I'm saving them all in a particular folder so we have access to those people. And I wanted to mention that one of the first that I saw was a donation that came from a young boy's grandparents. So his grandparents were giving him some money, and he decided he wanted to send it to the animal shelter. So that note is attached, and I was thinking that might be something that we would want to feature at our kickoff, you know, with, you know, this tagline that I kind of like, that everybody can be a philanthropist, right? And so we can talk a little bit more about that, Shar, and maybe put that in a kickoff program parking lot, and just see if there is a way to maybe interview him, or have a picture of him and his grandparents, or he and his mom, something like that. Or maybe the director of the animal shelter. I think we could, you know, think of something neat to do. And then I am working on setting up Amazon Smiles, which is, you know, community rewards, kind of a revenue stream. It's not huge, but if people sign up before they're making an order on Amazon and choose Royal Oak Civic Foundation, there is a percentage of whatever the total of that sale is that would come back to us. So there's, you know, no cost to us, and it's a form of charity revenue. So I'll continue pressing on that. Sorry, Char?
Let us know when you do that. I'll switch mine over immediately.
Okay. All right. So I'll just say that the issue that where I am right now is that they require a bank account routing number.
Yeah.
And so we have to figure out what we want to do with that.
Yeah.
And so, you know, right now I see two things that could happen. If the city is willing to allow one of their bank account numbers to be used, you know, that's an easy fix. If they're not, then we may have to discuss setting up a checking account only for, I mean, right now only for Amazon donations. And then we have to figure out, if we do that, what does that mean for future audits where we have the bulk of our money in one place and, you know, $175 in another place, and is it worth it? So that might be next month's question to you all, you know, once I figure out what our options are with the Amazon Smiles.
Makes my head.
Yeah, I know. So at, you know, the PTA, you know, again, I've been the treasurer for the PTA for 4 years in a row, and we've had, you know, maybe $500 come to each of them from Amazon Smiles. So again, it's not a huge amount of money, but in some ways it seems, you know, not prudent to leave money on the table. So anyway, I will check into it and see if it makes sense for us to press on that one. And then just standard administrative stuff. So that's it. I wonder if you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer.
Just great work.
Thank you.
All right, Julie, thank you for your report. Good stuff.
Thank you.
All right, next up on the agenda is discussion of a software purchase, the software that you researched is QuickBooks.
Right. So now as a 501c3, we have access to the nonprofit TechSoup, which is a nonprofit that helps nonprofits with technology, all kinds, software, hardware, etc. And they have an offering of TechSoup, or sorry, an offering of QuickBooks for $60 for the actual hardware or software that's a download. So it's not cloud-based. It's something that, you know, we can load on a couple computers. And what I was thinking is, you know, back to the idea of getting the money moved to the 701 account. That is the account that doesn't have a whole lot of, it's not very robust in terms of showing us exactly what happened with the money. It looks like on 700 account, it's money in, money out, and that's about all you get. And so I was thinking that, you know, while we're tracking the money in our 701 where it's very secure, you know, and covered by MMRMA and risk stuff, we could also be tracking that money in QuickBooks where reports that are readily available and easier to understand could be created. So I think for a small investment of $60 and a little bit of, you know, my time when I'm getting these emails from the PayPal, I can pop those in, and then it's also a second way to compare the amounts that we have in the city accounts to what is showing in QuickBooks.
So are there any other software needs that we can anticipate that need to integrate to QuickBooks? Will we at some point need a CRM, a customer relationship management software piece where we're able to track donors? Does QuickBooks have that function in terms of being able to link individual donations to address information?
I think it does. I haven't had to do that specifically with my current experience in QuickBooks, but I can check into it.
Yeah, I think that's probably our only upcoming need. It's the ability to organize any donors beyond recognition that we would do of them as well. So at some point we would need to have some word processing software to be able to send thank you letters, things like that.
Okay. And do you have ideas about which CRM software you all would be interested in? Because it may be a question of, you know, is the CRM software compatible with QuickBooks?
Right.
Right. So the specific CRM software rather than QuickBooks, because I think QuickBooks is for other, you know, it can integrate in other softwares, but.
Maybe we do a quick Google search of, let me do it while we're all here to see if CRM integration with QuickBooks.
I'm way ahead of you.
Aria, did you beat me?
Yeah.
Julie, what are you thinking you want to use QuickBooks for?
More robust reporting. So the financials for monthly reporting, and then probably year end and the 990 work.
So Shar, did you find the same thing that I found, that there are at least 8 that integrate with it? Nutshell, Method, Insightly, Zoho, Salesforce, Copper, Fresh Sales, and GreenRope?
Yeah, no shortage of options.
Looks like it. And the one I'm familiar with in that group is Salesforce.
Yeah, I've heard about that one also. How about Alex? Did any of those others ring a bell for you?
Yeah, we've used a couple of them. We're at my organization. We have a big partnership with Salesforce. So as long as it looks like there's a lot of options that range the gamut of price and functionality.
I've used Zoho, which if you have a small number of clients and uses is free. It was a little clunky, although it's probably gotten better since I last used it. So, you know, that's might be a reasonable startup option. Then the question would be, can you export the data into a more vigorous application as we grow?
Mm-hmm. Okay. And Pete, did I answer your question?
Yeah, you did. I think in the back of my mind, I'm not overly concerned with this. I think in the back of my mind, you've heard me say this before. It seems like, and it's just probably based on my prior experience, that the city should, the few checks that we're going to cut, and the little bit of activity, at least for a while, it seems like the city's system should be fine. And there's not going to be a lot of activity where it wouldn't be very easy to have them print off a general ledger and plop the, whether we do it or we hire somebody to plop the amounts from the different general ledger account numbers, because there's only going to be a few of them, into the 990. You know, I don't have strong feelings about it, but it just, it feels like you might, it's not even the cost as much as just a lot of effort on your part to try to set up a separate, at least a separate general ledger system. Now, to have a, you know, CRM or something that keeps track of, you know, like Salesforce or something that keeps track of donations and it has a database of people, that's completely different. I do think you need that, but you know, QuickBooks or, you know, an accounting system, I'm just not sure you need to worry about that right now. It seems like it's something the city should take care of, but.
Yeah, if we go back to the conversation we had about the MOU, you know, from what I remember, if we were going to stay in the 295, then the reports would be more robust just because that's how BS&A is set up. But in either case, the collection of the numbers for the 990, you know, the annual submission, and then the every 2 or 3 years where we have to provide information to keep our charitable license. The 501c3, I mean, as a charitable organization, the finance department doesn't have the bandwidth to make those reports for us. So that's kind of what I remember in the MOU. You know, either way we went, those two things were not covered. So I've always been kind of thinking about, okay, so what could I do on the front end to not, you know, be crammed at the end of the year trying to collect, you know, the information and get what we need to submitted. So that's another thought process that's been going on in my head. Char?
Julie, have you used QuickBooks before?
I have. That's what we use for the high school PTAs and what we used in the U.S. Green Building Council Detroit chapter. So I've had, I don't know, maybe 6 or 7 years worth of experience using it. It's relatively easy.
Okay, yeah, we use Quicken, which is their sort of low-end household version.
Yep.
And even I find that a clunky for the purposes that Tom has mentioned in terms of customer management, customer communication, that sort of thing. So, but if you're familiar with it, then that's but I am inclined to agree with Pete that, you know, maybe just a few spreadsheets will hold us for the next year. And if we do decide to move to QuickBooks, it's certainly easy to import that stuff into QuickBooks. But, you know, I'm inclined to defer to the executive director here because that's really kind of an admin staffing decision.
I want whatever's easiest for you, Julie. And I just think I go back to that conversation we had, which was if we were one of the 200 accounts, we would be part of the city, quote unquote. And so they would have to provide that information. But if we're a 700 account, because we're not part of the city, they don't have to provide that information. I just go back to, well, how about we're a 700 account and you just pretend that we're part of the city and provide that information. I mean, it's just, but that whatever is easier for you.
Yeah, and I appreciate that. One of the things that, you know, I recognize is there is a bandwidth issue already, and I think there aren't any other organizations or even departments that would require, you know, a 990 information report at the end of the year. So we would be coming in and asking for an additional item, and I get it. And, you know, in some ways, me doing it would be easier, you know, because I can do it on my own time.
Here's the thing, if we hire somebody to do the 990, and I think we talked about doing that, you know, we hire a firm or somebody to do the 990, the city could print the general ledger that you use for your monthly report and give that to them and they could do the 990. It's not, it's what are your sales? You know, how much cash do you have in the bank? It's really straightforward. You don't need a custom report for a 990. You could just give them what the city's already printing for you. So
yeah, so I've seen the accounts that are 701s, the way that those reports come up, it's not the same as the financial document that I give you all right now. So on the 701 reports, it's just like a line item. And so the whole year sometimes fits on one page.
And if you tell them, can you just give it to me in the same format? They can't do that?
Yeah, I'm not sure. So I could check into it.
I would be shocked if, generally with those accounting reports, there's a format, right? There's a format, and then you select what fund or funds you want to print. So it's this format. Do you want it for your general fund? It would print the general fund in that format. If you want it in a 701 fund, it would print the 701 in that format. It's not, they should not, I mean, I can't say for sure, but I would be shocked if they have to reformat anything.
Okay, so these reports I am doing right now. I got some basic understanding of BS&A to run reports for my grants administrative part of this job, and so I transferred it over. So that said, I'm not exactly sure how BS&A works for all of the reports, but when I asked a year ago, I was given a report for the 701. It was very simple. So yeah, I can look into that if that's how you want to go.
I want whatever's easiest for you, right? So the other thing is that, you know, just to throw this out there, so BS&A has like a help desk, and because when we were at the city of Roseville, we had BS&A like early on. It was very easy to use. They're very helpful. Could you, as a city employee, call BS&A and talk to the person and say, hey, I'm looking, because they're accountants there. Here are the reports that I'm trying to use. Is there something, you know, within BS&A that, you know, can you show me how to do this? They would show you how to do it. That's what they're there for.
Okay. So
instead of the finance director, for example, calling and asking the same questions, in my mind, you could, but you probably have to get permission from the city to do that. Mm-hmm. I say these things only because it just shouldn't be that hard for you, but I don't want to cause more trouble for you, you know, make it more difficult.
Julie, are there other projects that you need different software applications, including that QuickBooks would be helpful to? Just kind of anticipating what our needs are and what your needs are in the next year.
Other than just, you know, being able to keep track of everything myself and run reports when we need to, understanding how QuickBooks work and what kind of reports are available, and then, you know, when it's time for the 990, just being able to pull those things. I can't think of anything else that we would need, because it would really be just a shell QuickBooks, right? It's just for making reports, because the money and check writing and all of those kinds of activities stay with the city and would be done by the city. So at this point, I can't say that I do in the next year foresee any reason that we would use it in a more robust fashion rather than just, you know, having access to more robust reports.
Is the city going to print checks for you, or
yes,
would you have to do that? Okay.
I think we still need to get that MOU in place, and I think that, you know, we held off until the new city manager was in place so we could talk about, you know, does this all jive with what he's thinking, and I think the idea was to have him present it to the city commission, if I remember correctly. And that was one of the things. They would write the checks and, you know, with permission through minutes, I think, from you all, giving authorization for those expenses to be paid. And they'll make deposits and make deposits also.
It might make sense to meet with, you said him, did you select somebody? I think I do remember reading something about that.
Yes, Mr. Brake, Paul Brake.
Okay, when does he start?
May 21st, so he's been in for about 1 month.
Okay.
And he may, you were not here at the beginning, but he may pop in to say hello to you all, because he's interested in making the connection.
Okay, great. It might make sense to have that meeting with him about the MOU and that kind of thing. And maybe from there, we can determine what software you need to make sure that you're successful in what you're doing. You know, okay. Maybe we start with that conversation first.
All right, that sounds fine. And that gives me a little bit of time to do some more poking around and in BSNA to find out if indeed I can make a financial report for a 701 account that looks like the 295 that I present to you all right now. Okay, thank you.
Great. All right, anything else on this topic at all? It sounds like the homework on that is just a bit more checking, and then would you like for us to make a decision at our next meeting?
Sure, depending on how it turns out. If it is available to me to adjust reports in 701 with help of the SNA's help desk, then there may not be any reason for it. Because again, it would just be a shell so that I could make reports
right.
That were easy to do when I have time to do them, and then easy for people to understand.
Sure. Do we want to then, to keep this moving, because it's an operational function, do we want to give you the kind of the go ahead to do the research, make the choice, and let us know? Does that sound good to the rest of the group? Or do you think we need, because there's a financial investment, we need to have a vote on it?
I move that we authorize the executive director to spend up to $60 on financial management software if she chooses.
Second.
All right. Any discussion? All right, we'll close discussion. And those in favor say aye. We'll go through roll call vote. Hi, Pete. Welcome to the meeting, by the way. I didn't get to see that. Hi. Pete, you get to vote first.
Aye.
Char.
Aye.
And Alex.
Aye.
And I say aye as well. All right, great. Thank you.
Thank you.
You indicated Mark had a situation he's not able to join us, so we'll just move past that topic unless he provided something for you to report on his behalf.
He did not.
Okay, great. So next we'll move into unfinished business, discuss kickoff event and Robertson Brothers donation. So let's see, I think.
Where'd I go?
It's a nice picture of you.
Where'd I go?
You're there, right? We saw a picture of you. Welcome back. So for this, you had sent a Royal Oak Kickoff Plan version 1 PDF. We'll use that as the document to guide us through this conversation, correct?
Right. So
All
does
right.
everybody have a, I'm sorry, Tom, does everybody have a copy of that? Because I could try to share screen if need be.
I've got it. Does it, everyone else, would you prefer we share it so we can all see it together?
I've got, this is the ROCF kickoff plan, right?
Yep,
Yep.
version 1.
I got it. Okay, I got it.
Are you set? Okay.
So at this event and for our kickoff plan, we would make sure that we are first promoting our foundation's mission, which we'll discuss, I think, as another agenda item today. Announce the foundation's ability to accept donations and methods to give, checks online donations. Introduce the logo, its creator, and thank OCC. That's a must. Announce the first major donation. Recognize legacy groups and confirm that the funds are protected. That I think will be very important. Introduce the staff and board of trustees. Notify prospective trustees of the opportunity to be part of this group. And raise $75,000 for 3 local charities addressing COVID-19 needs.
That's 7,500.
Oh, I'm sorry, I added an extra 0 on there, sorry. So the idea is that this would be a virtual event. Or do we assume that it's virtual, or do we assume that it's just covered on CMTV, or do we want to ask for a socially distant announcement?
I'm assuming that the participants will be there in person, appropriately distanced. And I spoke with Richard Wilson, our TV director, and he said that is like super doable. He was the one who recommended we do it outside, easier social distancing, better lighting. So and the idea would be, I don't know if we're going to broadcast it live, to be TBD, but certainly film it for, you know, a subsequent broadcast.
Nice. I think this is a very nice plan.
What is CMTV? Is that
Communities, we have two methods of transmitting information. We have the channel, the public access channel that the cable companies give us, and so that's our CMTV channel. But then, of course, our staff also records meetings and other activities to share on YouTube and through social media.
okay?
Alrighty, and then you want to go through the elements too of what?
Right. So the idea would be, you know, kind of a traditional, you know, press conference. Who does these tasks remains open for discussion. I would see the board chair doing opening remarks, introducing the graphic designer, you know, easel with the logo on it, pull the sheet off to reveal the logo. The Robertson brothers with a great big check, which they ceremonially present. You know, the Robertson people get a chance to make a speech about, you know, how wonderful Royal Oak is. Announcing the GoFundMe campaign that will take $7,500 of the Robertson gift as a match against an additional $7,500. Julie and I met with Judy Davids and Carol Schwanger, who are actually running the city, if truth be told, and they suggested that Blessings in a Backpack, the Salvation Army, and the Open Hands Food Pantry were three really boots on the ground, direct service to people in need organizations. And so that would be what we recommend. I know Blessings in a Backpack and Open Hands. Carol knows the people at Salvation Army. And we could have them present, but I would also, if we're doing this as a videotaped production, then if they supply us with some photos, Richard can integrate photos of their work, of them, you know, serving people into the presentation. And then we'll have to set up a GoFundMe page, but the city's already done that when it raised funds for Eagle Plaza, the downtown park here a few years ago. So we've already got a track record and tools to use GoFundMe. And then we'd also ask Robertson Brothers to go to their vendors and their peers to contribute to the GoFundMe campaign. So that's kind of the big picture.
Gotcha. In conversations with folks who had recommended these three nonprofits, is there something they're specifically doing that's related to COVID-19 that would be worth promoting as well?
Well, it's food relief. It's, okay. You know, pure and simple. I mean, there are many things that people these days need that are sort of more sophisticated needs, if they need rent relief, if they need, you know, those sorts of things. But, you know, hunger is a common thing, especially for kids. Blessings in a Backpack is working, usually they work during the school year, but they're working now throughout the summer to make sure that Royal Oak school children get fed. Open Hands Pantry is for the general public. They're affiliated with St. John's Church at 11 Mile and Woodward. And they have a very active program. Marie Donegan, former city commissioner, former state rep, is very active in that church. So, I mean, again, they're very boots on the ground, very hands-on, making sure food gets into people's refrigerators and pantries.
And so as a related item to that, then our mission will expand to not only serve Royal Oak based civic organizations that are connected to the city, but we will also then activate citywide campaigns that engage and support Royal Oak based nonprofit organizations.
Right. I mean, we have certainly, and nothing that we've said or done to this date rules out the possibility that we can give to organizations not affiliated with the city, even if over the long run, or maybe just even in the short term, if city legacy organizations are our main priority, but not our only priority.
Got any discussion on that or thoughts on that from the group?
When do you think we would do this? As far as the timeline?
I don't know, in the next 3 to 4 weeks. I mean, as I said to Julie, this is my I'll honcho this. This is my wheelhouse. So, you know, I've got all of the tools to put this together to make it happen.
I think it's a great approach. I'm just thinking about ways, I don't know, if we could get the media there, somehow get some, you know, get a television station there or somebody to cover it. If we could, you know, if there's enough of a hook there. I think relating to COVID and food insecurity during this crisis makes a lot of sense. I appreciate the shout out to OCC. Obviously, I think that adds also kind of an interesting news angle to it. You know, the student, you know, just, you know, it's kind of the sense of community, having students from the community designing, you know, the logo. That is a real nice story to it as well.
Yep.
I'm just thinking out loud here as far as location. If you wanted to have it outside our campus, that could make some sense. I mean, we're closed, but you know, in case of rain, we could always go in and use the theater. I'm just thinking out loud. I think I like it.
Well, would we want to use the theater anyway?
Right.
I was going to say, what about the farmers market, since they're a legacy organization for roots? But just, I'm thinking out loud. Theater would be obviously has theatrical benefit as far as acoustics, etc.
Yeah.
Probably all the intact AV we would need as well too. If we can ask for your group's assistance for that, or if you would need to, if there would be a charge for that, I wonder.
See, what I'm liking about this is, and I'm just thinking here, if we could also take a little bit of that student angle, OCC, right? So we can promote it from our students' perspective, that we had one of our students all work on the logo, and we could promote the kind of the winning student, and it creates some publicity through our channels, our social media channels. And it's like anything, you know, it depends on the news day, right? If we can, if the city and the college work together, I'm just thinking, can we get Fox 2 News here, you know, at the college to cover it? What does it say? Never screw up on a news slow news day. Exactly right.
But the opposite is true. You know, if you've got a soft event on a slow news day,
no problem. We just got to hope Trump is tweeting something really outrageous that day, then you know, or doesn't in our case, right? So anyway, I would be open, and I could talk to my team, but I'd be interested in some kind of a joint event, being that it was one of our students, and especially if that helps create more buzz or more draw, especially as it relates to the news media. No guarantees, but.
So I like the idea, but does the farmers market make it easier for us to sequester people, you know, social distance wise? I mean, I kind of like that, the farmers market, because you could like tape off spaces, you know, Robertson here, students here, and really, you know, show that you're being careful.
It does make sense. And I want to make sure that it's about the city of Royal Oak and not OCC too. That's one thing that I'm struggling with a little bit, but I guess my point is, any way that we can help, I'm open-minded. If we can make it better somehow, if we can add some value somehow.
So,
is there anything going on with like Arts Beats and Eats? I honestly haven't heard anything. Are they still having that? I'm wondering, is there a way to tag on to that, because that gets a lot of publicity. I don't know whether we can or not, whether John Witzel let us, but I don't want to be overshadowed, but I want to make sure that we get a lot of attention.
Yeah, he's waiting for, the state to decide what they want to do. But, right now we're limited to what, 50 people? I just don't see it getting to, 200,000 by the time Labor Day rolls around.
If anything, we might be going backwards.
Yeah.
So preferred venue, let's settle on that. The time frame you want to do in the next month.
Yep.
That's the when. The where, we have two options right now, OCC or the farmers market. Kind of a straw poll on preferences. I'm fine with either, so I could go either way.
We could ask Richard Wilson which he prefers.
Is Richard in charge of the farmers market, or?
No, he's the CMTV. He's our TV director.
Oh, okay.
So I don't know if he's probably familiar with your setup there, Pete, because we've done, city events there.
Yeah, that's true. The mayor had his state of the city there one time.
Right. So let's ask Richard which he prefers, and make it a technical decision.
The farmers market makes a lot of sense though too. I'd go either way on this one. Okay, we can reach out to him.
Okay.
Yep, both have value. Anything? Let's see. So we'll be dedicating $7,500 of the $16,000 grant as match dollars. We'll set up the GoFundMe elements as well. Is there anything else that we need to add to this message that talks about future plans to give a taste of where we're going? We are raising funds at this point for 3 organizations. Each of them have a location in Royal Oak, correct? In Salvation Army, their location is both retail and they have a church. Blessing in a Backpack, where are they located?
They have worked out of the school. I'm not sure. I don't know where physically they operate. It just occurred to me, I think Richard Wilson is recording this meeting right now. Hey, Richard.
He's on mute.
So it might not be him, it might be one of his staff. So that's a possibility, but he could weigh in here at any moment. Feel
free if you're out there. All right, and the third group, how are they connected to Royal Oak if it's not by geography?
Which?
Open Hands. Oh, that's the group. That's the food pantry.
Yeah, Open Hands is at St. John's. Salvation Army is the church up on.
Yep.
And then Blessings in a Backpack. They operate out of a warehouse here in Royal Oak.
Yeah,
but,
they're a national organization, but yeah, to your point, Shar, they operate, and then also I think. Oh, sorry, we have a message from Richard. I have
no mic.
I was gonna say, but don't they partner with the Royal Oak Youth Association, or am I making connections that don't exist?
Roya has been giving them money. Royal Oak collects money. Blessings in a Backpack spends it on food, packages the food, and distributes it. So even if they're working in a Troy warehouse, their audience is students in Royal Oak Public Schools.
It might be too late, but anything going on, or have you heard anything regarding the Woodward Dream Cruise?
All of the cities along Woodward, none of the cities along Woodward are authorizing any events, events that the cities have to give permits for.
Okay.
The Woodward Avenue is a public road. Anybody can drive on it anytime they want. So.
Okay, I got you.
So beyond recognizing the legacy organizations from Roots, do we need to have some sort of messaging that talks about what our plans are for civic organizations inside of Royal Oak then too, just so that we're delineating, we're helping local nonprofit organizations are part of our efforts, and for the civic organizations, and that we could list them, the animal shelter, anything that helps provide provide clarity of the message of what exists in Royal Oak and what we'll be helping with.
Well, and I will say that if I have any hesitancy about moving forward with this event, it's that we haven't had that mission statement, strategic direction discussion to really be able to say in unison what our purpose is and how we divide our attention. So if there's anything that's going to hold this announcement up, that would be it.
Okay. When we have that as part of our agenda, though, too, to discuss, the mission and vision statement is it's next. So if we're able to come to resolution on that in today's meeting, then the plan to have this in the next month would still be on track. Do you think?
I think so. Others?
I think so.
And Tom, number 5 under objectives, that's a place where it says recognize the legacy groups. So maybe that can be fleshed out a bit to, add a little bit more narrative to the groups that we intend on supporting within the city's operations.
Sure. And just for not really a bit of brainstorming, but I did have an idea that's not an original idea at all. But if we would consider a very low-key fundraiser for some of those organizations going forward. If you remember a few years back, there were t-shirts that indicated the zip codes of a Royal Oak. And you could buy whether you were a 6-7 or a 7-3. And I remember I bought them. I thought they were awesome. And I don't know if I'm unique in that, though. So that's why I would love your opinion. Do we consider remounting something like that as one of our first next steps for a fundraising campaign where we're selling them online with a print to produce, so we don't have to over order an inventory and it's all fulfilled online as a general fundraiser for all of the civic organizations that are within the city of Royal Oak?
So several, I almost wore that t-shirt today. Several of the city's entities have done fundraisers like that. There's the Veterans Events Committee, which did Oak Stand Strong. The library did RO Proud. So that's already an established activity within the city. So I would say the tools are pretty accessible.
Okay. I don't know that I would make it part of this announcement because it adds another message that is likely, it's something that could get confused. But if we use it as a talking point, that you will see a number of community-wide fundraisers coming forward that you'll recognize as part of our efforts and our brand that help to support these organizations, and we would use that as part of bullet point 5. So.
Well, I think, once we develop a mission statement and strategies, then, an action plan for the year, is it better to sell t-shirts, or is it better to start building a CRM, a database, and working on direct mail solicitation? What our tactics are a whole nother discussion.
It is, you're right. So, but that'd be a nice announcement to add. You can look for a direct mail campaign. Look for this logo. You'll know it's money that all it will be raised locally, will stay locally. Those types of positioning messages that will help reinforce our credibility.
Yeah.
So I think we need a formal motion to adopt this as our plan, and then we can flesh out in that discussion any details from the plan that Sharp presented, which I hope I already endorsed. So I don't want to add that to it, but is there a motion to approve?
I'll make a motion to approve.
Is there a second? All right. Discussion on this? Any unintended consequences of us moving at this pace is my only question. Shar, you raised one that will we have fleshed out our mission statement to be clear? Anything else that we might not anticipate based on doing it in a month?
I'd say the only other piece is some of the policy items that I think that we'll talk about today. So we'll just want those finalized. And we have some pieces to talk about today that will help us finalize them. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. Yep. Is there a better time to make this announcement in terms of things happening in Royal Oak or things that might not be happening? Like you mentioned the Woodward Dream Cruise. There'll be obviously a missed opportunity But will people be out just driving? Who knows? But is there a time that people look for things in Royal Oak that this might be an appropriate time frame to align with instead of 4 weeks from now?
I think that's a good question.
City
That's
Hall,
fair.
City Hall is, excuse me, scheduled to open mid-August. There's that. It looks like Normandy Oaks isn't going to be done until the end of the year, although there's a lot of forward progress there now.
Yeah, I was thinking of Normandy Oaks because the pavilion is in place and, you know, will be operational. So that's like a backdrop. You know, it's meant to be a community, all ages, all abilities, diverse place. You know, so that might be the grand opening of Normandy Oaks could be a good one, except it's unclear when that date is at this point.
Yeah. Although that might be an alternate venue for our announcement.
Which announcement?
For our event.
For the kickoff?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So what date can we restate the date that we're looking at then, 4 weeks from now?
Well, let's approve the action plan without picking a date.
Okay. Because I was going to say we may need a meeting, make sure that we have a meeting before the event. So that's where I was going with that. / then we also might know some of those other dates that we're talking about.
I think once we have my general MO is, you know, once we've got
Framework.
Right. I put together a spreadsheet with, you know, assignments and tasks and due dates and so forth.
Cool.
All right, so if there's no other discussion on this, I think we have a motion to approve this. Clarification from our recent discussion that we'll approve the plan, but the date will be pending. Do we need to amend the motion, or is everyone clear that that's what we are voting on?
I don't think there's any date in the plan.
No.
No.
Okay. All right, then let's close discussion and we'll call the question. Those in favor of this motion, we'll do a roll call by aye. I'll start with you, Alex.
Aye.
Char?
Aye.
Pete?
Aye.
And I'm an aye as well. Motion passes unanimously. That's very nice, Alex. Thank you for the little for applauding. Learn how to use those. All right, let's move next into on our agenda to. Let's close my agenda. Our mission statement. And there's a document that we started at our last meeting that Julie sent out. So if you'll open up the thought starters for mission statements.
Yeah, so I have that pulled up, and then I also dropped, Tom, the option that you sent over this afternoon into a document with SHARs. So we have a document with a couple suggested here, and I can pull that up if it would be helpful.
Sure.
Yeah, if you could.
Sorry, did you send something today, Julie?
Didn't see that.
No, I just did this right before the meeting.
Yeah, if you'd share it on the screen and we can read through the most recent document, that'd be great.
Yeah, so I don't have share screen. Oh wait, there it is. Thank you. Okay, can you see my screen?
Yep.
Yes.
Can you make it bigger, Julie?
Yeah. How's that?
Yep, nice.
So what would make sense as far as digging into this? Calling out things that we like, make it like a heat map by calling out components that we particularly like, and then Julie, you could like highlight them, or we could go through one by one, or have Shar, Tom, and you, Julie, kind of like go through the context for what you put together. Sorry, those are three things that came to mind for me as far. I'll ask the question and then stack the question. But what did you have in mind?
I like
Well,
your
let
heat
me
map.
ask, sorry, Tom. Alex, do you have something you want to have put up here? And Pete, I have the same question for you, or should we just work from these right now?
I'm okay with working from these because I keep going back to that original, I guess is Julie, your proposed mission statement. I still like that, but I really didn't have any other suggestion.
So let's see. Alex, I kind of like the idea of maybe going through each one individually. And while we do that, highlight which pieces are, compelling.
Yeah, I was gonna say if we have the annotation capability, which I don't think we do in this version of Zoom, which is fine. So if you feel comfortable doing that, we could do like a round robin on that or something.
Can you use the highlight function in Word to just highlight the words that pop out to Alex's point about heat mapping?
Yeah, that would be easy. I also have the review tab. Let's see what I've got here.
So Shar,
I don't see annotate, but I do have track changes. How about new comment or highlighting? Highlighting is easy.
Yeah, let's do the highlighting function so that you can pull out words that grab folks' attention. Shar, do you want to start with yours and the thought behind your proposed mission statement?
Well, I think sure. So there's the question of what, and there's the question of how. And I think I wrote what I wrote because I want to tell people what we do. That is, there is an end in mind, and that is health, safety, knowledge, and culture. And I would say those words are open for discussion, but I want to say what our outcomes are, and then how we do it is through leveraging donations and enabling local philanthropy. So those latter thoughts are captured in the other two in perhaps more articulate ways than mine, but I want to tell people what we're trying to get done.
Good. And that's very clear from this. And in terms of heat mapping this, that you pulled out health, safety, knowledge, and cultural opportunities. I would highlight those because I think it provides clarity of mission. Any other words that resonate with anyone else reviewing this?
I like the enabling, the third to last word. I like the enabling local philanthropy phrase, but particularly the word enabling.
And leveraging donations tied to that also ties in nicely with our first press event too.
Want me to highlight those?
I would, yes.
So leveraging donations and enabling. Okay.
Well constructed, Shar.
Thank you.
All right, any other comments on this at all? Or ideas or thoughts? All right, I'll go next. This is one, I spent some time looking at Civic Foundation websites and their missions to see what type of wording they used. And what I liked about, and what helped me pull this one together was it focuses on the reader as the activator. So the mission of the Royal Oak Civic Foundation is to inspire residents and business leaders, that's the folks that we want to connect with in our city, keeps it local, who want to make a difference in the community. It's a little general, and I do like SHARS better in that one. And then specifically partnerships with residents, businesses, schools, and not-for-profit organizations ensure that civic programs and services work together to achieve lasting positive change. Focused on that so that the who was broadened to business categories, and then positive change being the final words as the piece that you'll hopefully remember the most.
I can chime in too for the heat map purposes. I like the inspire, so just the word inspire, and then the lasting positive change, the last 3 words for me really are the ones that are motivating when I read yours, Tom. Also, well constructed. Sorry, I don't want to shortchange you on phrase as well.
Thank you, because I was gonna add. So needy, so needy. All right, and Julie, do you want to go through yours? Unless there's any other comments on this one. All right, let's move forward to Julie.
Okay, so mine basically is what was on the old sheet, except I adjusted it and added individual and company donors so that we could go toward a comment that Tom made last month relative to making sure that everybody knows they're invited to participate in this. It's not just residents, but businesses, etc. And then I like the last 3, the greater common good. I think it's inspiring. And honestly, I don't remember when I crafted this in the first place. It was months and months and months ago. So it probably was, an amalgamation of other mission statements that I had pulled from different places. So that's that.
Great. All right, words that resonate with this group.
So the elements that I like in both Tom's and Julie's are calling out residents and business leaders. I guess I like business leaders better than companies, just because you're talking to a person, not to a thing. But both of those incorporate those 2 ideas, residents and businesses.
Yeah, another thing I guess I like about this is that we're saying we're providing rewarding ways, for people to become involved. So it makes it a much more positive way of soliciting support.
So if you want to highlight rewarding ways.
How about provides rewarding? Yeah, because we're providing that.
And I would agree with you about greater common good or greater good are the words that stick with me.
So, so fundamental, because community foundations' jobs are to promote philanthropy, to build an endowment basically in their community. Is that our purpose here, is to get more people involved? Or to my point, is our purpose to actually fix things?
Good question.
We're inspiring philanthropy to fix things. So they're connected, but it's the tail end of that.
I was going to say our purpose is the thriving, resilient community. That's the words I like. Julie, also well crafted. But the thriving, resilient community is the part for me. I feel like with all the green pieces that we have, we can construct one that actually falls together. The only thing I'll challenge on is the greater good component, because the Salvation Armies is doing the most good. So when working with other nonprofits, we tend to stay away from language that is similar to that, but not to say that it's not good language. Sorry.
So that's a Salvation Army thing?
Doing the most good, yeah.
Oh, right, doing the most, yeah, right.
But I like both greater, common, and good. So, but I just want to call attention to the fact that
I'm sorry, what is Salvation Armies? I'm just going to jot this down.
doing the most good.
So can we agree that we could probably take the first few words of SHARS? We don't have to say what our mission is, but we can just say what we do. So the first words would be the Royal Oak Civic Foundation, and then we start with a verb. Because it's both Julie and Char have that same starting. You don't need the mission that's included in mine.
So I really like, I mean, I'm struggling here because I like elements of all three. I think in my mind, and I guess we'd have to write this out, but I'm thinking if you took Julie's as a base, for example, so on Julie's, the Royal Oak Civic Foundation provides rewarding ways. I kind of like the word inspire. It's a little cleaner, a little tighter, because otherwise it's going to get kind of long. I like, the inspiration of Tom's. And I wonder if you could kind of like substitute that with, the providing rewarding ways. But I do think we have to add to Julie's. I like what Char did with sort of narrowing it down a little bit by saying it's health, safety, knowledge, and cultural opportunities. I wonder if we could take Julie's as a base and sort of take the inspiration of Tom's and then the clarity of health, safety, knowledge, and cultural opportunities of Char's and add that in. I mean, what would that look like? Would that hit all the right notes?
The Royal Oak Civic Foundation inspires
donors, maybe just say donors. Or provides inspiration to support a thriving, resilient community where needs are addressed and resources are distributed for the common good. And then I was thinking about, I like this partnerships with residents, businesses, schools, and nonprofit organizations ensure that civic programs and services work together to achieve lasting positive change and that improve the health, safety, knowledge, and cultural opportunities of Royal Oak residents. I don't know if that's too long, but
I like it. I like where it's going.
Okay.
So do you want to cut and paste? Let's see.
So are we still at the Royal Oak Civic Foundation provides inspiration?
Provides inspiration.
You said to donors.
Provides inspiration.
Why not just say inspires?
Inspires.
Instead of provides inspiration, just do inspires.
Yeah, right.
Provides inspiration. Inspires. Inspires, period. Inspires.
Hey, short and sweet.
In fact, that could be our tagline. So it's ROCF Inspire.
Inspires donors to support a thriving.
Should I just cut and paste? Are you going to do?
That's fine. Yep.
Resilient?
Yep. Resilient community. Yep. That whole where needs are addressed and resources are distributed for the greater common good. I guess let's just put that in for right now, just to. Needs are to, okay, common good, distribute for the common good. And then what did I say? I like that part, period. And then cut and paste that partnerships with residents, the rest of that whole thing of Tom's. This might get a little long, but we'll look at it here. Okay, together to achieve lasting positive change. And then we got to work in Char's clarity, which is together to achieve achieve whatever that is. And I think you say that improves the health, safety, knowledge, and culture opportunities of Royal Oak residents. So what does that look like?
Really long.
Well, and I'm going to suggest one thing that we do that Shar did with hers, and that's to put the what we're doing before the how.
Yes.
So it's the first thing that you read. And then also I need to admit something as well. I'm over here saying, you know, greater common good. And fun fact for the organization I work for, his last statement is, or part of mission is advance the common good. So perhaps that's why I was trying to avoid it, less so with the But yeah, so to that point, I would pull the improves the health, that last part that we just put from Shar's, put it after the word foundation, and then add the word by, and then it would be inspiring donors too. Does that make sense what I'm saying? This is literally writing by committee. For all those at home.
Yep. We're combining structure, clarity, and inspiration.
There you go.
So in that sentence, that first sentence, we have Royal Oak twice.
Yeah, I would delete the Royal Oak before residents.
Would we say residents of our city? Do we need to have it be more clear, or is it cleared by its presentation?
I think that's sufficient.
Yeah. All right, now we need to start editing and pulling words out. So if you agreed, should we pull out greater? I'm sorry, common good? You want greater good? The greater good, if we're going to keep that phrase.
Can you just get rid of, so what if you got rid of where needs are addressed and resources are distributed for the greater common good? What if you just said the Royal Oak Civic Foundation improves the health, safety, knowledge, and cultural opportunities of residents by inspiring donors to support a thriving, resilient community, period.
I'll buy it.
Yeah.
And then,
Wait, that didn't work. Hold on.
That's okay.
Okay.
Actually, oh wait, hey, put that back in for just 1 second. Hang on, I have an idea. I just want you to think about it.
Undo.
I love undo.
Undo. So I was thinking, the Royal Oak Civic Foundation improves the health, safety, knowledge, and cultural opportunities of residents, either period or by inspiring donors. I'm thinking, can we put partnerships with residents, businesses, schools, and not-for-profits in support a thriving, resilient community where needs are addressed? So we would take out the work together and achieve. I'm trying to get rid of a whole line here, so I apologize for how choppy that sounds.
So really, when you think about it, that last sentence there, partnerships with residents, businesses, schools, is that really part of the mission? It feels more like a statement, like an opinion statement. Is that really our mission? That almost could be like one of our, I can't remember what you call it, like a strategy or like a, I'm questioning whether that belongs in the mission, whether we need to have that. You know, could it just be knowledge of culture opportunities of residents by inspiring donors to support a thriving, resilient community, period? Maybe there's nothing after that.
Yeah.
So I think that's a really good point, Pete, because I could see that partnerships with residents, businesses, schools, et cetera, to work together. I could see that as part of our vision. I mean,
it's almost like a value. it feels more like a value or something maybe.
Or a vision,
you know,
where we want to be. We want to build these partnerships with the residents,
Yeah.
and businesses, and schools.
it's important to us, but is it a mission?
Well, yeah, and in my original document, I also had strategies and values, and I had it really
Yeah,
as a
I
strategy.
like those. Yeah, I like those.
Yeah, so I don't necessarily need that as part of the mission.
Yeah, I think that's part of like your value. Yeah, you have collaboration. Yeah. So
Tom, are you okay if we hack that?
Sure. I'm not emotionally wed to any of it. I'm going to start to cry.
All right. So then maybe we're even taking off my piece here, right?
What do you think of that?
I like short and sweet.
I still like the idea of saying that our donors are people and businesses.
What if they're foundations?
Then they're still business,
Company.
aren't they?
Yeah.
It's still a business?
Yeah, it's just a tax designation.
Well, and when I think it was Tom who said, you know, residents and business leaders, because again, then you're talking to an individual, not a thing.
I thought businesses are people, Shar.
Yeah, no.
So the Royal Oak Civic Foundation improves the health, safety, knowledge, and cultural opportunity. It should be for residents?
No, of.
Well, okay. So, okay, I see where you're going. Opportunities of, could you just say knowledge of culture opportunities of residents by inspiring residents?
Yeah, yeah.
Again.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna say you could put business leaders first, or if we wanted to lead with something that wasn't business, or because obviously the residents too close together, you could say organizations.
Or could
Like
we
organizations.
say that, yeah.
How about cultural opportunities by inspiring residents? So just take out of residents. And cultural opportunities by inspiring residents. And
the only thing I would say is by doing that now, with that opportunities of residents, that clarifies that we're providing these opportunities really to the Royal Oak residents, not outside of your residents.
What
right?
if we say in the city? Health, safety, knowledge, and cultural opportunities in Royal Oak.
In the city, of the city, cultural opportunities.
Yeah.
Of the city by inspiring residents and all right.
I like that because what if we support the Arts Commission? I mean, there are people that will, you know, be calling Royal Oak home for a couple hours while they're on Main Street or something like that.
Okay, of the city,
I mean?
by inspiring residents, business leaders
to
support a thriving, resilient community. I like that.
Uh-oh, I did something wrong here.
It becomes opportunities in the city. In the city.
In the city.
Remove residents. And then by inspiring residents and business leaders, remove donors to support a thriving, resilient community. Do we need thriving and resilient? They're different words, different meanings.
I personally I very much like both words, but if others, not to put a stake in the ground around them, but I'm not sure what others think.
I would go with both. I would think though, if you were going to pick, I would say, I would drop resilient. I would say thriving community. Because if you're thriving, you're resilient, you're everything. I mean, so if you wanted to tighten it up, I would advocate, I would support getting rid of the word resilient, but I'm not married to that.
I'll agree with you. I think thriving community is fine.
Tightens it up.
And I'm like the tightest writer you'll ever meet, but I'm inclined to leave resilient in, and for no other reason than I like the sound of it.
I know, it's kind of inspirational.
Yeah.
And that's what we're here to do. We're to inspire residents and business leaders.
Yeah.
I'm partial to that word with my other hat on, the sustainability manager, right? Because we like resilience in cities.
Yeah. And I was
All right.
thinking, you know, the greatest need is right now we're working to support resilience through a pandemic. You know what I mean? Like, so that's part of, and obviously, and I agree, Pete, like, if you're thriving, that means you've overcome the resilience. So it's almost like we've, you know, it's already kind of in there, but.
You have to get rid of the word donors.
Yep, and the word the.
Yep.
Royal Oak Civic Foundation improves health, safety, knowledge, and cultural opportunities in the city. No, leave that the.
This stuff.
Yes, that the.
First the.
All right. Okay, so one thing that happens when I read this, when we remove the word donor, it says residents and business leaders supporting. What does that mean? They can support us by volunteering, but that's not what we're looking for. I think we need to make it clear, you know, that this is a fundraising organization.
Then I go back to the word philanthropy.
Okay.
By inspiring philanthropy by.
Philanthropy from.
I was gonna say, or local philanthropy of residents and business leaders.
By inspiring philanthropy from residents and business leaders.
By.
So by inspiring philanthropy by residents.
Oh shoot, too many buys.
A lot of buys there.
Of.
Yep. I like that. Yeah.
So Royal Oak Civic Foundation improves health, safety, knowledge, and cultural opportunities in the city by inspiring philanthropy of residents and business leaders to support a thriving, resilient community. Do we need a thought instead of philanthropy?
I'm sorry, what?
Of the instead of in front of philanthropy, inspiring the philanthropy.
Could be, my mind puts one there actually.
Mine does too, except, you know, right here we have a the, like 2 words away we have a the.
I'm inclined to say that it's not necessary. Shar, you're the copy guru. What does your grammar say? Knowing that you and I disagree on the Oxford comma.
Wait, which one likes the Oxford comma?
I do.
Me.
Oh, you do? Your one didn't have it. That's why I thought you didn't. Oh. Well, but Shar, sorry, not to put you on the spot. What do you think? Does the word "the" need to be there?
Give me a second here. Health, safety, knowledge, and culture in the city by inspiring. I'm going to put the in there. But if we change that second, change the of to by, I wouldn't use the.
Mm-hmm.
By residents and business leaders. I think I like it without the and a by, but we got 2 buys though.
I know, but I think I can live with that. I could go either way here.
Okay.
I think it's good as is. That's what I'm going to vote.
Okay, so let me see here. I've got an idea. Let me just do this. And then the other question I have is about knowledge. Do we need to have knowledge in there? What is the knowledge that we would be working on?
I could argue alongside you and say that cultural, it's the library, okay? And I could entertain an argument that cultural opportunities means the library.
I would think so too, because it's poetry, it's novels, it's, you know, and then also our robust art group that's available. So I think culture, to me anyway, encompasses all of that.
Yeah, I like that because I was a little worried about being too restrictive. You know, so it's sort of like if it doesn't fit health, safety, and knowledge, it sure will meet cultural. If it's something that we really think is going to create a thriving and resilient community. So I like it.
You like knowledge, or you like removing it?
Oh, I'm sorry. I like knowledge.
Oh,
I'm opposite on that.
I would not.
I like removing it, actually.
I wouldn't, as long as you keep cultural, I'm okay with removing knowledge. Maybe I misunderstood what you were.
oh yeah, we have to have cultural, but the question,
Okay.
does cultural also embrace the library knowledge?
Oh, I see what you're saying. I think it does.
I can make that case.
Okay, how about this last one? I've tried to remove the situation where we're saying in the city by inspiring the.
Improves community health, safety, and cultural opportunities. Oh, you've made it community.
Yeah, and move city to the end.
Improves.
Or it could even be flipped around, like improves the city's health, safety, culture, blah, 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 supporting a thriving, resilient community. If you'd
Ooh,
rather end,
I like that. The cities.
so we'll swap these out, right? Improves the cities, right? Resilient.
Yeah, that's good. You got it. I like community at the end.
Yeah.
I kind of do too.
Agreed.
Mm-hmm.
That's good.
I'm just going to call out the only thing. One of the things that was in, I think, Shar's at the beginning was the enabling local philanthropy. Yeah. So the one we're working on, do we want to add in the word local philanthropy? So the enabling the local philanthropy of residents and business leaders, or do we think that that's unnecessarily constraining?
I think it's unnecessarily constraining.
Because it's not like we're going to turn down a grant from a non-local organization.
No.
Right.
Yeah. Okay.
And
Sorry,
residents are inherently local.
Yeah. If the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation said, "Look, we want to give you $1 million to do this in the city," we would take it. It would definitely fit within our mission, I would think.
Yeah. Cool. Sorry not to ask the
I'm with
question
you.
and then refute
Yep.
it.
All right. So,
Right, so
if this is our mission statement, do we need a motion to approve?
can I just read it out loud?
Yeah.
Okay, the Royal Oak Civic Foundation improves the city's health, safety, and cultural opportunities by inspiring the philanthropy of residents and business leaders to support a thriving, resilient community.
Love it. I'll make a motion to approve.
That was a really good exercise.
It really was. I'll make a motion to approve.
This highlighting is really cool.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Thank you. Any discussion?
I hate writing in committee.
Yeah,
Yeah.
agreed. Yet we came up with something very robust.
Don't lose that in how Julie makes you save it.
For the love of God, save it.
Because if you ask us, what did it say? I don't know that I would remember.
All right, close discussion, and we'll call the question. Those in favor of this, say aye by roll call. Start with you, Shar. Alex?
Aye.
Pete?
Aye.
And I'm an aye as well. Motion passes.
Yay.
We got a
What a
mission.
mission!
Wait, I'm sorry. Who made motions in second again?
I made a motion.
I second.
Okay, thanks.
All right.
All right, we have, let's see, 26 minutes left in today's meeting. We are on discussing parameters of day-to-day operations. Although, actually, let me back up. We did a mission, we did not do a vision. So do we need to come back to a vision statement in our next meeting?
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
I think Char's got a great base there of what she put together.
So
And-
is the
oh, sorry.
mission, is the mission we have enough to go forward with the kickoff event?
I think so.
I think so.
Okay.
Alex, do you agree?
I do.
Okay.
The only thing I'm thinking about is if the two other pieces that Shar had, the strategies and the values. I have a bias towards stating those publicly too. So if at some point we want to, and the reason for that is some of what we're going to talk about in a moment. So I can resurface that in a second.
Okay. So for clarity, we're going to adopt what Shar had said, or we're going to come back and revisit that in a future meeting. Which is your preference?
Well, we can table that aspect, but I think with the mission statement, like I think we can table the vision statement component. I agree. I'm in agreement with everyone.
Okay. All right. I think we're all in agreement on that. If there's any dissension to that, please say it now.
Yeah. May I just have a clarification of that? Because I was writing something, so I think I missed it. So the mission statement has passed as written, right?
Correct.
Okay. And then?
Vision and tactics will be a future discussion, but is likely a good template that Shar created. So we'll just tweak that. Sound like a plan?
Yep.
So we'll revisit that and make it part of our next agenda. All right, moving on to parameters of day-to-day operations. And this includes a job description. Correct?
Right. So it was, let's see.
So folks will open up the draft ROCF Executive Director job description.
And Julie, what would make sense for structuring this conversation? Because I also want to include some of the policies since they're interrelated.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind if you take the lead on this.
Yeah,
If that's
no
all right with you?
Yeah.
Okay.
What you see on your screen, and Julie, I think if you're sharing, you can zoom in. Remind me again where this came from. This is Tom.
It's me.
Yeah. Tom came up with this first draft. And hopefully everyone had a chance to look at it. Tom, do you want to speak to any piece about it?
Not in particular. I used something similar that I had and tried to put in some elements that were relevant to what I know is Julie's role, what will likely be your expanding role, and it's a starter for discussion. That's it.
Cool. From a governance perspective, I looked at, traditional management roles versus traditional governance roles and what we've articulated in the bylaws. And this felt right to me, including some very specific components, to your point, Tom, about, there in the italics, following programs, annual giving, board development, grant writing, sponsorship, solicitation, special events. Everything that I saw in here was aligned, and particularly I look at a job description for an executive director or president CEO as an articulation of responsibilities, but also helping delineate the differences between the board's role and the management role. So sorry, as far as philosophically goes, there are a couple things that I think we would need to put next to it to help empower Julie to do her role, and that's where I was referencing some of the policies. A couple things would be around, and a couple policies that one second. Of course, I'll have an excited doggo in this moment, a canine coworker. So there's a couple of things, and we talked about these last meeting, and we have some drafts to share, but really some questions to help finalize the drafts that we can then share out before our next meeting, specifically around gift acceptance and kind of like internal financial controls. And the reason that I'm bringing those up related to this are around empowering Julie on gift acceptance policy, right? Like we don't need to have a vote every time someone sends us a check, or as an example, remind me the firefighters union that did the food drive. Some of these things that could just be a matter of course, as opposed to not needing reducing the gray area on making the decision. And then also some of the day-to-day things. So for instance, at the beginning of our meeting, talking about the expenditure on QuickBooks, like to what extent is there a kind of like a financial, up to what dollar amount basically is Julie empowered to make decisions on kind of day-to-day operations? Maybe there's an annual cap or something to that extent. So sorry to talk about the job description, but also talk about kind of the other pieces that in my mind are related. I'll stop talking there. Is there any questions or clarification needed on anything that I said, or anything I missed, Julie or Tom?
Nope, I think
Okay, cool. So I guess Pete and Shar, any questions? Sorry.
So no, that's okay. When I looked at this the other day, I thought it looked great. The one thing that struck me was the title. It seems to me it should be Executive Director of the Royal Oak Civic Foundation or something. Because I'm thinking, I don't know how the city wants to do this, but on Julie's business card, will it say that Executive Director of the Royal Oak Civic Foundation? In other words, if this title is not to be reflected as part of her official title with the city, I suppose it's fine, because this will, but what I worry is that if she has a business card that's from the city of Royal Oak and it has her title and it says and Executive Director, it's Executive Director of what? I don't know if I'm being clear, but that.
Yeah, I gotcha. So two things come to mind, Pete. One is in that branding package we got from the students, there was a specific business card for the Royal Oak Civic Foundation with this logo and some designs. I won't be able to pull that up because I'm VPNing into my office computer right now. It doesn't allow me to share it unless I preload my other computer, and I did not do that. So I don't know, Alex, if you can call that up relatively quickly, or Shar or Tom, but my thinking was that I would have separate business cards for the Royal Oak Civic Foundation. And in that case, it would have the logo on it and just the title Executive Director. Because I think there is, in an effort to have a delineation between the city and this standalone foundation, that would be another small way to show the division.
And I'm not married to any way. It's just depending on how it's structured, you may have to add Executive Director of the Royal Oak City Foundation. Mm-hmm. If the only time that your name with that title appears, if the only time your name with that title appears, if it only appears on the Royal Oak City Foundation letterhead or a business card, then it's fine as is. Mm-hmm. If it appears anywhere else on anything that's Royal Oak, then you need to show what you're an Executive Director of.
Yeah, and that could be as a title in a newspaper article, right?
Right.
So we would want to be clear that it's Executive Director of the Royal Oak Civic Foundation.
Right.
Okay. All right.
I have the, if you want the proof, I do have it up too. So if it's helpful for anyone.
Okay, can you share?
No, not right now. The participant sharing is disabled, so I think you must be a co-host.
Okay, so I guess, sorry, you pulling it up.
I can now. Thank you, IT. Do you want me to
Carol,
share it real quick?
Carol, thank you.
Okay, here, I'm going to stop your sharing.
The other thing that I thought of was in the like education requirements, job experience requirements. If we're not posting that job, we don't necessarily need to show those just yet. If we do, we need to make sure that Julie meets all of those different areas. You follow what I'm saying? What I wouldn't want is to have the intention, which I do, of keeping her on as the executive director, but then draft a job description that she's not qualified for. So that's just, I don't know your background intimately, so I just want to make sure that we're being mindful of that.
So I have one thing I caught when I was reviewing this, and that's in the very first paragraph. In italics, it says successfully managing the following programs, and then italics, annual giving programs, and then in parentheses, direct mail, memorial giving, online giving. Is memorial giving, is that intended to be planned giving? Or do we address plan, because that's not an annual gift, but if we pull it out of there, we need to put it somewhere else.
Yeah, I interpret memorial giving as gifts made in someone's honor or at someone's passing.
Okay, so we also need planned giving as one of the programs she would manage.
Correct.
I see.
And then what about endowments? Do we need to name that?
And I do wonder, should planned giving be separated out of that area because it's more like a major gift. It's going to be a contractual obligation based on someone's will.
Yes, it's completely different from annual giving.
Yeah.
I wonder if, I'm not sure how to word this, but as we're kind of making all these changes, can we make a statement that's more, in planning and successfully managing, like giving, including, and then listing it so that it's not, the way it's written here, we're at risk of not including something that we may want her to do in the future, but it seems like it should be, Julie's really, this function is, assisting us with fundraising or giving, including the following areas. So instead of making an exclusive statement, it's more of an inclusive statement.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I like that. Tom, are you okay if we make that change?
Sure.
Okay.
I just added operations too, since it wasn't all fundraising stuff plus board development. It's okay. I'm trying to just make them in red because I forgot to click track changes, so and I can send this back to, or Julie, I can pass back to you.
Julie, do you meet all of those like educational requirements, job requirements? I'm just curious. I don't know if you had a chance to look at it. Okay.
Yeah, I started as the executive director of the Michigan IPL in 09.
Okay.
And that's where the fundraising and special events grant writing started. So I'm going on 11 years.
Right.
And I have a bachelor's degree. Yeah, but I guess two things: master's degree preferred and CFRE preferred.
Oh,
Either of those.
You don't have those, or you do?
I do not. I do not have a master's degree or the certified fundraising executive certification.
But it's preferred. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Other discussion on the job description?
Should we move to approve this?
With the suggested changes?
I'll make a motion to approve with the suggested changes.
there a second?
I'll second.
All right.
I was giving Shar the opportunity, but
I'm writing.
I realized after the
She's
fact.
we can't make her vote and write at the same time, guys. Come on. We gotta do it.
Multitasker. All right, any discussion? Seeing no discussion, we'll call the vote. Those in favor say aye. Those opposed, nay. We'll do a roll call vote, starting with Shar.
Aye.
Peter?
Aye.
Alex?
Aye.
And I'm an aye as well.
Thank you, Tom, for doing that.
Sure.
Yeah, great work.
I guess the next piece related to this component, unless, sorry to keep the mic, unless Tom, you wanted to, the couple of the other two policies, one around kind of financial controls, how we want to handle that, including check signing and the receipt of gifts. And then the second piece is, sorry, of course I have a spinning ball of death on my Outlook when I was planning on grabbing my notes. A gift acceptance policy. And I think for me, these are two of the things that we should have in hand before we launch. I mean, there's a lot of policies and things that we can come up with. But for me, I think for publicly soliciting donations. And sorry, I also know that we have the other additional item around the insurance components. So Tom, why don't I pass it back to you and you can tell us where to go next?
With gift acceptance and third-party events and all of that?
Do we want to talk about that next, or do we want to talk about the insurance items?
Let's do the insurance items. I think gift acceptance, and we were starting to talk about a third-party policy offline between a few of us. Let's bring that forward for the full group at a future meeting when we have more time.
Okay.
Yeah, could we bring the policies back and by the way, I have a July 8th holding date for us. Typically, I think we weren't going to meet in July, but given that we have the kickoff event and we're all kind of sequestered, I penciled that in. So if that still works for you as the second Wednesday of the month, then the question is, could we have the policies for recommendation at that meeting?
Okay. Is everyone still holding Wednesday, July 8 from 3 to 5 on your calendars, or are you available? We'll start with that.
I can make myself available.
I have it permanently in my calendar.
It's on mine as well.
Wait, okay, for some reason, this is July 8th?
Correct. And know that if you put it on like an Outlook calendar, it may have popped up auto-populate because that's the second Wednesday, but we typically don't meet in July. So we may not.
Oh, okay. All right, so this is called, what is this called then?
It would be the recurring, typically we have July off, but we will schedule at our normal time a Royal Oak Civic Foundation meeting for us to discuss. The agenda we'll set up at the end of today's call.
All right.
So does
Julie will
July
set
8th work?
I think it does. If you're able to make yourself
Yep, I can do it. Yep.
And then we'll just need do we have Zoom available as well?
Yes, it's Carol fixed it for us already.
All right, got it. So, all right, we'll move forward. We're in new business. We're going to take them out of order. We're going to take the discussion on insurance first. We had originally put that as item number 15. So we're going to skip over, discuss website setup and upcoming meetings, although we just discussed one. So let's go through insurance.
Okay, so I'm going to share screen again. Let's see. Okay, so we were given initially two options for insurance for the Royal Oak Civic Foundation. And when I asked a few questions of our contact, he admitted that the other brand name, the Travelers Insurance, was far set up as certainly an overkill kind of coverage. It was much more expensive, and I asked a couple questions, and he said, "Oh yeah, you know, thinking of a small foundation getting off the ground, you probably don't need that one." Okay, so I didn't even send that one to you. What I did send was the two that came from the Cincinnati insurance company, and this first one on the screen is what was sent to me. And I realized that they had this line item of nonprofit organization D&O. And so my question to him was, I thought the officers were already covered through MMRMA. And so then we had a conversation, and it turns out that yes, indeed, you're covered as individuals from MMRMA, but sometimes the board as a whole, if we had a problem, the board as a whole could be made defendant in a lawsuit. So this D&O insurance line item is if we run into trouble and the defendants are all of us individually and the organization as a whole.
So this component protects the organizational assets if we're sued. So if we have $16,000 in our bank account, then that's what protects, that $795 protects that $16,000.
That's right.
Okay.
So when I asked him the question, he said, "Oh yeah, right. So since you're again a small upcoming organization, that may not be necessary." So if we go to the second quote here without the D&O, you can see that it was pulled out, and it's his recommendation that, you know, in this first year or two, we probably don't need such a thing as the D&O line item to cover the whole board, the board as a whole. But certainly it's up to you all about what your risk tolerance is.
Safer the better in my world, but I'd be curious the group's input.
Yeah, I always recommend to have D&O coverage.
How much money do we have in the bank?
We have about $30,000. We have the 14 initially, and then Robertson's 16. And we plan to spend 7,500 of that shortly.
I mean, my inclination would be to put off the D&O coverage for a year. I mean, we're not going to be doing so much risk, if anything, that is risky at this point. That seems like a big portion of the money that we've got in the bank.
That's my thinking also, that in this first year, we're going to have little exposure.
I'm wondering though, by our sheer existence, whether that opens up to our exposure. Just to be really blunt about it. That's why I was leaning towards paying for it now, recognizing that obviously we don't want to expend unnecessary overhead, but so my thought is, okay, so what if someone challenges our existence? Would the city of Royal Oak be on the hook, or would we be on the hook as an organization?
Well, I would think in that case, the city of Royal Oak would be, since they are the sole member. It's not that our actions as a board would have opened us up to a liability.
Yeah, and I think that's very rational thinking. One of the items that our insurance guy said is, if there is ever a situation where you're called as a party to a lawsuit, in his opinion, a good attorney would be suing everyone and everything possible. So whether or not that means there's any recourse for them, you know, that they will win or not win, doesn't matter, but attorneys typically go after as many options as possible. Although he did say, for the organization, say we sit with $15,000 in the account, and each of you and I have $15 million of coverage each from MMRMA, going after the Royal Oak Civic Foundation's $15,000, isn't that high on their list. Does that make sense? Like,
Yeah.
because our numbers are so small right now, it may, in some cases, not be worth the hassle if they could go after each of us individually through MMRMA.
I'm not an expert in this, but it seems odd to me, maybe I just don't understand it, that we would have individual coverage under the city's insurance, but as a board, we don't. A board that is part of the city. I struggle with that a little bit. And maybe it's just, maybe I don't understand it, but it just seems odd.
Yeah, and I'm not an expert on this. I remember when Mark brought some of the documents that had the language in them from MMRMA. The reason that you're covered is not that you're part of this board, but you're a volunteer of the city of Royal Oak. And I am covered because I am an employee of the city of Royal Oak. And so I don't know how the organization, you know, what standing the organization has relative to MMRMA and coverage. But it's, I think it's a good question, Pete. I didn't get the impression from the insurance guy that would have any bearing, but certainly I can.
Does the city attorney's office have a recommendation for us on this?
I was hoping that we would have this conversation with Mark, and his email to me was right before the meeting started, so I didn't really have time to figure out, you know, another option for that. So if you want, we can always postpone until next month, which is only 2 weeks away, and have some feedback from the attorney's office, and also our connection to the MMRMA, our insurance person. I'm sure he would be open for a conversation too over the phone.
I move we postpone this item until our next meeting and seek advice from council.
Second? Is there a second?
I'll second.
All right. Any discussion?
Go ahead, Julie.
Okay, thanks. So we'll seek advice from council. Would you also like Keith Potter from IBEX to be available? Or is an opinion from council enough?
Honestly, I would like, you know, it'd be great if at the next meeting we had Mark here to kind of get his opinion from city attorney's, you know, office perspective, and also have the representative from the insurance company here to answer any questions and maybe explain it to us. Ideally.
Why don't we leave that to Mark and Julie?
Fine with me too.
Okay.
The only thing I was going to raise up as a potential risk of delay is what the effective date would be for the insurance, because we'll want it probably in place before we publicly launch.
Yeah, so the proposed policy is June 1, 2020.
So are there any issues with us doing that, approving it in July, but backdating it's post effective rather?
I think so, because I ordered this, you know, I sent a reminder email only maybe 5 days ago. So it was in the middle of June that they sent this with a June 1 date.
Okay. All right, we have a motion on the floor to table this. Second. Do we need a roll call vote for that?
Yes.
All right.
I think so.
All right, let's close. If there's no other discussion then. All right, those in favor say aye. Those opposed, nay. We'll go through the group. Pete?
Aye.
Shar?
Aye.
Alex?
Aye.
I'm an aye as well. All right, so we'll have that as unfinished business on our next agenda. We are at our time for today's meeting. Do you want to continue for the next 5 minutes for any other open pieces, or at least develop our agenda for the next meeting and then rejoin on July, was it the 8th? I'm sorry, July 8th.
July 8th. Mhm.
I would say let's take, well, the one thing we haven't covered is item 13, website. That's going to take more than 5 minutes. I move we postpone that. In fact, well, I'll postpone it until July, but who knows if we'll get to it then.
All right.
Would you recommend that's something we need with a public launch, though?
I think it would be wise.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking, because I have a page on the Royal Oak site held for us. It just is under construction. So, I mean, it could be something as simple as putting up our new logo. And do we want to do that before the kickoff, or do we want to keep it hidden until the kickoff and just have, you know, some basic links for donating, you know, our mission statement now, you know, maybe our legacy groups listing, and then links. I mean, it could be that simple just to get going.
I think we should get the website up before you make your launch. You know, media will immediately go to the website if they want to use the logo or anything like that. If they're going to use that, they'll grab that off the website.
As long as it's just a page at romy.gov, as long as we don't have to set up hosting and all of that, yeah, then that would be okay.
Yeah.
Julie,
okay. So I'm sorry, we purchased 2 or 3 URLs. Remember, we had the ROCF, or maybe we couldn't get ROCF. But anyway, what we can do is we can choose one of those and have it direct itself to a page on romy.gov. So what people are typing in looks like our URL, but it will feed into a romy.gov page that we already have set up.
Julie, do you get a sense of how long it would take, even with the minimal page setup, for the web administrator for the city to handle this for us?
The web administrator for this page is me.
Oh.
So I am working on a sustainability page right now. I'm doing all of my learning on that page, and I think it wouldn't take too long to get something basic up, and then we can talk about, you know, functionally, what do we want our site to look like.
Okay, sounds good. So let's plan on leaving that new business. Why don't we end today's meeting by setting up our agenda for our next meeting, if everyone agrees.
May I interject one thing here?
Sure.
I don't know if you guys looked at the chat, but Richard Wilson said the farmers market is not the best for sound system. We did State of the City in both, and it was easier for technology at the OCC Theater.
Okay.
Good to know.
I can look into that. So we're looking at like maybe a month or so away during the week, probably.
Yeah, let's shoot for a. Oh yeah, definitely during the week. Question is, do you do it on a Friday if you want, for example, state elected officials to show up? But then Friday can be a busy day because other organizations are dumping all of their.
They're off right now, the state.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah, so it probably doesn't matter there, but I know where you're going.
Let me put a timetable together and just see what is reasonable given what we have to do and the time it'll take to do it.
You know, that's actually, okay, sure. If you could do that and then work with your team to see what, you know, what you're thinking as far as requirements and that kind of thing. And then if it's all kind of spelled out, at least it gives me something to give to my team as a guide, you know, because I know as soon as I say something, they're going to say, well, what are they looking for? And I'll get so far with it and eventually I'll say, I'm not really sure, you know, as they start having more questions. And then we could just put our people in touch with each other.
Okay, will do.
All right, sounds good. Let's create our agenda for our next meeting then. Our opening stays, series stays intact, topics and presentations. We assume that Mark will be in for that as well. We can take software you're going to report back as part of your director's report. So you can combine 7 and 8.
Okay.
Unfinished business, why don't we come back to the kickoff event for an update? We need to develop the vision statement. And then we are going to come back to day-to-day operations and specifically discuss gift acceptance, third-party events. That could be a longer discussion, I wonder. If we need to table it, we can decide in next time's meeting.
Yeah, I don't know that we need I think third-party events is down the road from us, but I think gift acceptance is timely.
Yeah.
The
New
reason
business.
we're talking about third party is because, like, for instance, the food drive that we talked about might fall under that category because we were accepting funds on their behalf. Does that make sense?
I'm sorry to have missed that. Do you mind saying it again, Alex?
Yeah, the reason that we were including third-party fundraisers is because the food drive, for instance, might have met like, depending upon how we define it, it could either be or not be, because people were giving us checks to then give to the, you know what I mean? So it's not a tried and true from the idea of someone's going out and holding a fundraiser for us, but at the same time, they are holding an event that people give money to us, but for them.
We can take an initial review of it and figure out our time frame for approval or discussion at our next. That kind of meets both objectives. We will need to discuss the new website setup. The insurance discussion will go under unfinished business.
Make that part of the attorney's report.
That's a better choice. You're right. And then anything else? I think we'll have lots to discuss, focusing mainly on the kickoff and finalizing some operational elements. Any other comments on the preliminary agenda for next time? All right, if not, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
I can make a motion.
Second.
All right, those in favor say aye. We'll
Aye. Oh, roll call.
With the roll call, Pete.
Just can't get off fast enough, I guess.
I know. Char.
Yeah, yes, aye.
Alex.
Aye.
I'm an aye as well. So thank you all for your time today.
Thank you, Carol.
Thanks, everybody. Great work.
Thank you.
Thank you,
all.
everyone.
Thank you, Richard. Thank you, Carol.
Bye, everybody. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
See you on the 8th.
Bye, all.